Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. I am your host, Justin.
I'm your co-host, Brandon.
I'm your co-host, Ian.
And I'm your guest, Maddox. Dragonix.
How do you mess up your own name?
I don't know. I said my real name. I'm so sorry. I want to do it again?
You can just say I am, and then we'll make sure it's spliced together appropriately.
Okay.
I am
Dragonix.
Really, dude?
Sorry.
What the hell's wrong with you? Okay, sorry. Well,
You want me to do it again?
yes,
Yes,
Dipstick done
Brandon.
fucked it up.
Okay. I am Dragonix.
This podcast was created to provide you, our heroes, with new and reusable material for both players and DMs.
We hope to inspire you with creative content that you can bring with you on your next adventure.
Our show may not be suitable for young children, but neither is our D&D games.
Oh my god. That's creepy as fuck.
That was the idea.
This episode is brought to you by our generous Patreon donors. If you do not know, Patreon is a membership platform for creators to build relationships with their most loyal of fans known as patrons. It is a tier-based reward system that allows you to support your favorite creators for as little as $1 a month. In exchange, you are offered exclusive content based on the tier that you select. We have many different rewards, the biggest one being enjoying our show live, such as Ed and Savret, who are in the shows right now, and I'm sure Sam and maybe Gabe will be joining us here shortly. If you can't afford to, or not afford, that's a terrible. If Patreon doesn't interest you, you can support our show in a number of ways using our affiliate link on our page to our DMsguild purchases, or you can support our show by buying a T-shirt or checking out Brandon's commissions.
Yay.
He does full color commissions, art commissions for $20 and shoulder line art for $8. That is an incredible deal. And Brandon just showed me something that knocked my socks off today. Boom! He shared a picture that wasn't anime, and it was way better than his anime drawings.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not even kidding. So when you get a chance, share that with everyone in the Discord so they can see, because that is an amazing piece of art. It was like a portrait, and it looked awesome. So kudos to you. You should do more of that shit because it was gorgeous. That being said, we got a really exciting show for you today. But before we get into that, we like to start the show off on a high note by giving away fat loots, compliments of our sponsors. Our first prize comes to us from Goblin Stone.
You skipped a whole paragraph.
Oh shit, I sure did. Thanks for joining us today here at Crit Academy Studios, where everything's made up and your roles don't matter.
I think you
Oh,
threw.
yep, that's right. Your roles are like players without talent options.
Which are awesome, by the way. I think you guys are going to really love it. That's a hint to our main topic today. But before all that, we like to start the show off on a really high note, compliments of our sponsors. Our first prize comes to us from Goblin Stone. Brandon, who's our winner today?
And our winner today is Daniel Mitchum. Mitchum?
Oh, you fucking.
Congratulations to Daniel Mitchum. If you enjoy your adventure, please head on over to Goblin Stone and let them know. Tell them what you like. Tell them what you didn't like. Leave them a review. If you don't know, leaving a review is one of the best things you can do for a content creator because it lets other people know how great their content is or how bad it is. Either way. Helps everyone improve in either way. That being said, we got a fantastic show for you today. In our Let's Talk About Blank segment, we have a question from Nicholas Toady in regards to the disengage action. Our main topic today is talent options, or player option, character options.
Character talents.
Character options talents. Hang on, I got it open right here. Character options talents. Okay. I wrote it as player options on the show notes. That's no good. Our main topic today is we are interviewing Dragonix. Say hi.
Hello. Hi.
And we're going to be talking character options talents, which I'm super excited for. And anybody who really loves the feats and all those really cool options from the older editions or like 3.5 and Pathfinder are really going to love it.
Yep.
And of course, we end the show with our unearthed tips and tricks where we bring you new and reusable material for both players and DMs. But before all that, we have In the Realm, where we spend a few minutes talking about what's going on in our realm. Dragonix, what's going on in your realm? I threw him off. He wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Just a quick thing about what's going on in your day or something exciting. Maybe you went and seen a new movie or something like that. Kind of to just kind of talk about like a.
I thought you were asking about what my current campaign was, because you asked what's going on in my realm.
You can talk about that if you want.
No, what's going on? No, I'm just preparing for another adventure that's coming right up. So that's what I've been doing. We have my regular group has a game this coming weekend. So I'm thinking of what to do, and since it's going to be Halloween soon, that I'm a little researching for something. So yeah, that's what's going on.
Wonderful. Are you looking for like a module, or are you doing your own thing, like a homebrew?
Yeah, I always do my own stuff.
Okay.
So every time, if I do use a module, it's really just to borrow some certain areas, but normally I always run my own campaigns.
Yeah, if you're ever looking for inspiration, The Haunt is awesome.
Yeah.
It was an amazing adventure by Phil Beckwith.
Yep.
Beckwith, yes, Phil Beckwith. Dragonix, would you like to ask one of these fool, Ian or Brandon,
Fuck you.
what's going on in their realm?
Yeah, what's going on in your realm?
Ian?
And yeah, this is the first time I've met them. Ian and
Yep.
Brandon.
Yep.
What is going on in my realm? Well, as we established earlier during Patron Pals, I ended up watching Venom.
What'd you think?
I thought it was alright. I mean, I could definitely tell throughout the movie that they were trying to find their footing, but I definitely like what they set up, and I do think Tom Hardy did do a good job as both Eddie Brock and Venom.
We are Venom. I love it.
And the other thing, too, is right now is when all the anime seasons are kicking off right now in Japan for the winter season. And
Yes.
I've been trying to follow a few of those, and I actually thought there was a few good entries so far.
Awesome.
Like one I'll mention for sure, just because it ties into D&D a little bit, is it's called Goblin Slayer.
Mhm.
And the first episode is pretty dark. Not like Berserk levels of dark, mind you, but
That's pretty dark.
although probably the manga is.
Okay.
But the light novel is not, but the anime is somewhere in between. But there was a few months where I paused and went, holy crap, did they just do that?
I'll have to check that out.
I've heard of that. Yeah.
And Kevin, minor spoiler for the first episode. Like, it at first follows like the four characters. They're basically level 1 characters.
Mhm.
Oh, this is just goblins. This will be easy. They were wrong.
Yeah. I watched an anime that was like that called Grimgar.
That was all right.
I enjoyed that.
My wife's watching that.
And the Gridman, that was kind of fun, just because I like the American remix of it called Superhuman Samurai back in the 90s.
Right.
And I can go on a little bit more, but you get the general idea.
Yep.
Brandon, what's going on in your realms?
Well, not too much. Just working. I've become a member of the TikTok community.
Yes, he's got all kinds of TikTok videos, and they're hilarious.
So I started doing that. I got 1,700 followers in 2 weeks, so that's pretty awesome.
Now, if he would just put half that effort into the show, I only can imagine how much better we would be.
Well, I can't make a fool of myself on camera during our show because people listen to it. There's a big difference between TikTok and this.
Oh, fair enough. Well, that's really cool. Can you share any videos with our community, though? I think you did share a Halloween one, didn't you?
I shared the Halloween one with a dragon one.
Yeah.
Um,
He showed me one of like this girl on one side, and she's like, "Give it to me," and she sticks her butt out, and he like whacks it with like a stick, and I'm like, "Okay, that's interesting." Anyway,
you were dying laughing. You watched it like 5 times.
that's cracking up. It was funny. It wasn't like a sexual thing. It just was funny the way it unfolded.
Yeah, it was a clip from Family Guy.
Yeah.
I have not seen Venom yet, and I'm dying to because I'm starting to watch the extended trailers. And the more I watch it, the more I go,
Oh, it was really good.
And that's pretty much it for me, except for the fact that I just learned that Dragonix has a sexy ass accent.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh God.
He's like, I don't know what to say to that dude. That's a little too close to my uncomfortable zone.
The bubbles get popped in this place.
Oh my God.
You know, personal bubbles.
Oh,
Not that
I
bubble.
thought I was...
You sick fucker. Oh my God.
Oh my God. All right.
Justin, what's going on in your realm?
You mentioned Venom. We just released our first ever flavor of the month. We took homebrewery and built a level 5 barbarian, 15 fighter multi-class, and set it up to look like a whole new class, and reflavored everything to give you the symbiote feel. And it is awesome. It's running out almost to 20,000 views right now, which is super hot. So thank you all for all you that like it. For those few of you that were giving me a hard time about how unbalanced it is and how it's OP and motherfuckers, the goddamn thing's right out of the PHB. Read a book.
Yeah,
Jesus.
It's
It's the first 2 lines.
They say it's literally a reskin of the Barbarian Fighter.
Yes. Nothing's unbalanced about it because it's in the player's handbook, dickwads. Okay. now that I've vented my frustration at people who can't read 2 lines, and then we're arguing with me about it, I'm like, whatever. So that's what's going on in my realm. Brandon, if they'd like to visit other realms, or I think that'll do it for In the Realm. Brandon, if they'd like to visit other realms, how can they do so?
They could do so by going to our website at critacademy.com, and we have a link to Audible where you can what? Oh,
You got it right.
Yeah, you got it right. Now you got a link to Audible where you can download a what?
No, just keep going. I was just
Sorry.
pointing at something.
You can go to Audible where you can get a 30-day free trial plus a free book,
Yeah.
audio book. It's awesome.
Yeah. Me and several of my buddies use Audible, and I'll tell you what, if you got a long car ride, it's awesome. If you got a job where it's monotonous and you can just listen to it as you go, it's fantastic. Can't recommend it enough. So, moving on to our next segment, we have our Let's Talk About Blank segment. And Dragonix, I'm going to read this, and I think I'll let you take the first response to see what you think, and then we'll kind of do a roundtable discussion on that topic. This week's Let's Talk About Blank segment comes from Nicholas T. One thing that always troubles me in D&D combat is disengage, especially with rogues. If a rogue is surrounded by 20 people, they can just disengage bonus action, dash action, and they're gone. If the chasing NPCs aren't rogues, then the rogue can dash action and dash as a bonus action, and no one can match their speed. How would you deal with this?
Well, that's the feature of a rogue. If you're not prepared for a character to do that, then yeah, you just have to outnumber him. But yeah, what would I do? So if you're asking me if I'm going to, how do I plan if I have one of my players doing this, abusing this? It's perfectly legal,
Mm-hmm.
but games can get bogged down if he keeps on doing this. So what I do is I build a specific guard, the one that has a sentinel feat.
Yeah.
Dude, nailed it.
That's how I go about it. But yeah, I wouldn't always put one character or one NPC that has the sentinel feat. It's just that I just want the rogue to realize that you can't always do this and expect the same outcome over and over.
Sure.
So,
Other than that, yep.
So I would challenge that. The sentinel feat only works when you use a reaction to hit a foe, right?
Yep.
When you disengage, nobody can op attack you, correct?
Yep.
So then how would
It's a combination, I guess. But if obviously they can, but there's one option is that you have to combine it with ranged units as well, and then also make sure that you can try to block the rogue if you can. But yeah, sometimes yes, even with the character as a sentinel feat, if he can disengage from you, yeah. But let me review that again and go back to you. I'll look at it.
Yeah, go ahead and do that while we're discussing. Ian, what would you do?
I think there's a few options, but first and foremost, I do want to state though that this is what rogues do. This is what they capitalize on. So go ahead and let them do that, because let players or their characters their abilities shine. But that said, it is fine to throw some curveballs at them and chip them up. But there's actually quite a few things you can do, in my opinion. Like first off, you can use the terrain or the map. Like
Difficult terrain would definitely reduce the effectiveness of that.
Terrain,
for sure.
most certainly. But you can also use bottleneck them in hallways, or because if you're outnumbering them, if you have a chance to completely surround them, because then they can't move through opponent spaces. So
That would be a good way if they're completely surrounded. Yeah, you can't move through without at least like the tumble feature, which I think is just an optional rule in D&D 5e.
right, and a few other things too is let the enemies have range attacks. That even if like the rogue dashes away, it's like I can still see you. Thunk.
I actually didn't think about that.
Or give him opponents that are highly mobile in the first place, so even if he runs away, they can still catch up with him.
Right. That's interesting. I like that. Brandon, how would you do with somebody that can run away and not get attacked regularly when he's surrounded by enemies?
Well,
Grapple.
If someone's running away, then chances are pretty good they're not looking for traps.
Yeah.
Drop a bear trap on the ground and let them get stuck.
Have him get trapped?
It's like, think, oh, I guess I can't move.
Sam says, I've never heard of monsters or other players blocking movement in 5e. To my understanding, you cannot pass through another person's square.
You can move through a friendly character's square, you just can't stop it.
Yeah, you're right. You can't move through an enemy's square without some sort of ability. And I think like one of the optional abilities, or is it a feat, like the charge, or something that allows you to do that.
I don't think charge does.
Oh, I'm trying to think. I don't know. But yeah, you're not supposed to be able to move through enemy squares.
Nope.
Otherwise, you could just run through the dungeon bypassing everybody, I guess.
Although I think some halflings can screw around with that a little bit.
And I think that's actually one of the, isn't that one of either the halfling or the gnome are all small? It specifically states under small category that you can
Something like that.
move through other squares, maybe. But anyways, what I would do if I had a player who is constantly using the disengage action, not only would I didn't even think about the ranged. That's actually a really good one. I wish I would have thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
I would make sure I've got nets, spells that hold person in place, spells that create difficult, not just difficult terrain, but like icy terrain, or something that punishes them for moving
Or mobilizes them.
Right. Now, that being said, this is the core mechanic of the rogue. So if you're going to try to specifically strip that away, make sure you're not doing it too often.
Because that's a pretty quick way to make a player salty.
Right.
And that is, let's be fair, understandable.
Yeah. Right.
I'm actually surprised you didn't say grappling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, grappling. That would be number one. Grapple the little bastard.
Most favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, once you got him in your grasp, it doesn't matter how good he can take a disengage action if he can't get out of your chokehold. Dragonix, did you get a chance to look at that?
Yeah. And one thing I also have to, I guess, remember, if the rogue is doing this, he's not exactly doing anything against you either. He's really just escaping or retreating. So
Right.
he's not hurting you too. So it's fine. I mean, that's one of his core actions. So if that's what he's going to do, and he's not going to harm you either way, it's just probably it's something like after. I mean, the perfect scenario here is if he's just trying to steal something and then just run away, right? Then fine, that's it. But in combat, you can't do that every round. I mean, at one time, you really have to attack either, right? You want to position yourself and attack, and that means you're going to leave yourself vulnerable. So
yeah, you actually point out something that I think would also be great. If he is the person that's running around all the time and just trying to avoid being stabbed, which as a player, I would not hate him for that. Maybe trying to instead encourage him to use his speed for something. Whether it's there's now a lever that's super critical to this situation that he has to get to before something falls and crushes the players, or maybe there's a gate that's being pulled up and cranked up by a goblin up in a little area, and have him use his speed to get up there. So that way you're kind of focusing his ability to do that in a positive way that makes him feel even more like he's engaged, because if he's running away, he's likely not engaged in combat, which means he's not, like Dragonix said, not hindering you, but he's also not helping his allies. So
pull the lever, crunk!
So I think I would find a way to incorporate his speed as a function of my encounters when I build them, because that way he would get more use out of that, and it wouldn't feel like I was trying to hinder him, but instead I'd be able to predict what he's trying to do. What do you guys think about that?
Makes sense to me.
Yep. All right. No, Samuel, you cannot grapple as a reaction, but eventually somebody would catch him.
Yeah.
I mean, he would have to run at some point, but as long as you know he's going to do that, you can probably grapple him beforehand. Anyways, multi-attack's really great for that, especially for those slippery bastards with high dex.
Nothing gets over my head. My reflexes are too great. I won't catch it.
Do we have any other points on this topic?
I think we kind of covered the main bases.
Yeah. All right, that'll do it for our Let's Talk About Blank segment. Our next segment, and really, oh, sorry, I almost forgot. That'll do it for our Let's Talk About Blank segment. We hope we answered your question, Nicholas. And if we didn't, please send a letter to the complaint department at critacademy@gmail.com with a $5 check attached to it, and we'll make sure somebody reads it. Our main topic today, I'm super excited for this. First of all, I want to say thank you to Dragonix for joining us. It's really awesome to have you here to kind of walk us through exactly what talent options are for characters. I really am excited when I stumbled across this. I think it was something that got shared or commented on in a Facebook post. And when I found it, I was super stoked. Because one of the biggest complaints that I hear, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that with 5th edition is that it's too simple. Would you guys agree with that?
No.
You don't think so?
It's simple, but I don't think it's too simple.
Well, I agree, but there's some complaints, especially from 3.5 and Pathfinder people.
I don't think there's really such thing as too simple per se, as much as this is how it's set up. You either prefer it or you don't.
Okay. Draconix, what do you think about that?
I guess if you're going to compare it to Pathfinder or 3.5, then I know what you're getting at when you're calling it simple.
Yeah.
I would say it's not really simple, but I think the rules are a little bit looser and leads to a lot more interpretation. Not like have you seen the new Pathfinder 2?
No. I read some of the playtest stuff for like a minute and it was like, nope, I'm good, thanks.
I'm still amazed selling a hardcover book in it.
Well, if you've seen it, and that's where you'll see the difference between the two, and it's like all of the rules have been streamlined. It's more complex there, so it's a little bit daunting. There are a lot of rules, just like Pathfinder, but I still would prefer playing 5e just because it's easier to get into and it's easier to bring new players in. But I think for long-term viability, if I would have the time and if my players would invest in it, it would be easier to run Pathfinder 2.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what I think because of the rules. I mean, there won't be too much. Remember those things when you run a game and then you might get into an argument and you can't tell which one who is right if there's a certain situation. Pathfinder 2 covers it, most likely.
Yeah.
It's just a question of can you find the rule for it?
Yeah, so something like that. But yeah, so going back to I guess you could say that it's a little bit more simple. But for me, I think my complaint and why, if you're gonna ask me why I came up with talents and why I even started it, is because I miss the customization.
Sure.
I miss those little things that you can own your character. All those little flavors that you can do that I kind of miss from Pathfinder and from 3.5. Right. All of those feats, perks. Yeah.
So before we get too into detail about this awesome product you've made, these player talents, would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yep, sure. So my real name is Manix.
That is a baller name.
I'm a 46-year-old Filipino. Again, sorry?
That's an awesome name.
Oh, thank you.
Hot.
Before that, thank you, by the way. Thank you for inviting me to the show, and thank you for promoting my product.
Oh, you're welcome. We love promoting DMsguild products. You guys a lot of you do amazing job. Now, there's some people on there who don't do a very good job, but a lot of you guys do amazing work, and I really want to promote that because that's what our show's about, is finding ways to help, engage and inspire other players and DMs, and this is you guys do that. So you're very welcome, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you. So again, my name is Manix. I'm a 46-year-old Filipino instructional designer by day, and a dad of 2 girls. I've been playing D&D for over 30 years now, and about 99% of that time, I've been a dungeon master.
I feel like that's how it is.
I'm also into computer and console gaming. In fact, the reason I got into D&D was because four of my very first favorite computer games were I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. Um, the Bard's Tale, Wizardry, Ultima, and Archon.
Okay.
So
I don't
I
think
played
I've
those
played
games,
that.
yeah,
They're
way
old.
before I even learned about D&D.
Said
Very cool.
Ultima?
Yeah, Ultima.
I used to play that.
Oh, yeah,
Long-
yeah,
long
okay.
time ago.
I gotcha. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was the one
So,
where you could kill people and
where
take
were
their
you playing
loot,
it?
right?
I was playing it on the Apple IIe.
Nice.
Yeah. that game.
This was.
It had a really weird. It had a really weird way of working because Anthony played it a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and him and a bunch of other guys found a guard stuck in a wall.
Okay.
If you attack a guard, you're dead
Right.
because they're the strongest.
Yeah.
They're the strongest NPC in the game.
Yep, that's Ultima.
But because he was stuck in a wall, he couldn't attack back. So him and a bunch of other people just started going at it, and they wanted to see what he was going to drop. An hour later, he finally drops, and they're like, "Yeah!" And his prompt popped up and says, "You beat Ultima Online, yes or no?" He clicked no, but someone clicked yes, and it reset all the servers.
Oh!
No way.
Surprised you don't remember that story.
No, I don't. So that's a really cool. Well, thank you for introducing yourself. We're lucky to have you on. You just talked about you've been playing for what, over 30 years?
Yeah, since the 80s.
Nice.
Was it? Yeah. So, what is your most memorable D&D moment? I mean, 30 years worth. You should have a pretty good one.
Yeah, there have been many. Definitely. First player death. First time my party got captured. What else? First campaign ended. But I think the one that's probably the most significant or important for me was when I injected something into my game. It was the first time. So before I do that, I'm pretty sure you guys have all watched Die Hard, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
So remember in the movie Die Hard, I think there was a number of those segments, those thrilling moments, like the one where he attached the fire hose himself
Mhm.
and then had to jump outside the building,
Yep.
right?
Hell
At that
yeah.
time, it's probably nothing special about that, right? But when he had to break the glass, and then when he got in, and then the
No shoes.
whole thing also fell off, right? It and then yeah. So those things, it's all of those epic suspense moments that you weren't expecting,
Mm-hmm.
and then just so it's those things. So I call them a Die Hard moment. And after watching that movie, I was inspired to have something like those in my games. So I started experimenting and putting these little Die Hard moments in my adventures. The first time I did it was the first time I realized how great D&D can be. I don't remember the module that I think it was anyway it was one of the one dungeon adventure that I had to tweak and modify, and there was this simple encounter. The scene was that the characters were in a cobweb-filled crypt, and the room encounter was pretty basic. They just had to. The crypt had two giant spiders lurking in the ceiling. That's it. And then it's after the crypt, there's another corridor leading to another crypt. So that's it. So I tweaked it. They were a party of 6, and they had just entered the said crypt with the spiders. But I didn't do anything. I in my notes don't have the spiders attack. Just let them do. Okay, so they failed to spot it. So they didn't even bother. I just described the ceiling as full of cobwebs, so they didn't search it. There was nothing in the sarcophagi, so they just moved on to the next room. However, what I did was I placed a trap in the corridor where about 10 feet after they leave the room, the door behind them would close.
Okay.
And yep. So the lead character who was carrying the torch, and I was the only one carrying the torch, was about 10 feet into the corridor when he stepped into the pressure plate. The other two who were just right behind him were about to leave just just outside the door, and then the remaining three were still inside the room. So the door, when it fell, it was like a stone door that was falling down. Okay, so I had the two characters who were right behind the lead character to make a saving throw. I remember that was still a Dragon Breath saving throw. This is still AD&D. So one got pinned, the other was able to dodge, but one got pinned by the door. So it's still partially open. And then the other three behind them was suddenly placed in darkness. So because they didn't have any torch. So they were there. So all of a sudden, by just describing what happened, they were plunged in the darkness because they didn't have a torch. You can imagine when I told them that the ceiling started to move, and that one of them had dark vision. Yep.
Okay.
And two ominous forms were slowly crawling down towards them. So one of them got webbed and was slowly getting pulled upwards. So it was that first time I saw genuine panic from my players.
That's awesome.
Screaming and blaming. And yeah, that was the first time I saw them screaming and blaming at each other. Why do you have to have the torch? Why did you leave the room? Can't see anything. And needless to say, those outside had to try to they didn't even bother removing the pinned guy. They just tried to insert the torch inside so that they could hand it to the other three. And yeah, they burned the webs off. But yeah, it was a very simple encounter. I mean, even just the four of them could probably deal with those spiders. But it was just that the simple fact that things got into this messy or situation, and yeah, so something like that. And I saw how that impact. Now after that, I kept on trying to put a lot more, but no. The trick is to just have like around two or three at the most, so that you just keep them on their toes.
I think that's awesome. That is a really cool encounter. I love that because of the marching order and how they set themselves up, it created this division among the party about whose fault the whole thing is. Like, it's your fault, asshole. No, it's your fault. You shouldn't be carrying the torch. You should have been closer, I think that is awesome, and that's something that I've always thought was what really sets a good and memorable encounter apart is when the players don't immediately have a, okay, what do we do moment. Instead, they go to some other thing like arguing with each other about who screwed up. And it seems like you nailed that.
All right. And our next question we have on deck. What would you say a moment was when you failed as a player or DM? And as a result, what did you learn from it?
Yeah, many times. I definitely failed as a DM. That's another example. I mean, like, you thought you could, when one of the things that when you try to shoehorn something and it doesn't really work, you should let it go. But if you keep on trying to force it, that was a mistake I did. And your player's gonna call you out and notice that something is fishy here.
Yeah.
So that's something like that. But another with that my common sin is my tendency to drift into by the numbers description of combat and exploration halfway through an adventure. You need to keep the immersion level up if you want to hold your player's interest. Like extrasensory details to feed their imagination, but it's really a difficult task to do when your games normally run for 6 to 8 hours, and otherwise, but yeah, you have to, right?
Right.
So that's something that I try to maintain. But yeah, I try to balance it. Otherwise, your players will just drift, and you'll see them. Well, right now, it's a little bit more challenging because now they have cell phones to look at.
Yeah.
And social media. That was something that you didn't have before. Before, they probably just doze off.
One of our patrons.
What did I learn from it? Just balance things. There should be enough encounters, but not that many that it feels like a chore.
Mm-hmm.
There should be a right mix of quick and easy encounters to make your players feel more accomplished, and then sprinkle some challenging ones that keep them on their toes, like what I mentioned earlier.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not a terrible idea to actually have an encounter where they really have to, I think this is something that we have to back out of
Right.
once in a while. That doesn't have to be every adventure, definitely not, but once in a while. And yeah, not every encounter has to be in combat. So because I have like a player too who enjoys the engagement of or role playing or conversing with an NPC. So you always have to have at least one encounter that has that option. So
Right.
yeah, so yeah.
That's wonderful.
That's it. You just need an equal amount of interesting exploration and role playing. So yeah, it's really just customer service. Make sure you satisfy your customers.
Customer service.
Yeah.
One of our patrons, Sam, is asking. He says it sounds like a great encounter, and he'd like to see a map of it. Could you did you mention which adventure that was, or
Module.
module, or do you not remember?
Yeah, it was a dungeon adventure I ran late 80s, and again, that was the first time. So that's why it's memorable, but I
Mhm.
can't remember the actual adventure. I can remember the situation because I kept on sharing this, but really, that's just one. I've already made several that are probably more exciting. You gave me an idea of probably my next book.
Wonderful. So now really onto the meat and potatoes of the topic. Yeah. Can you tell us about how character option talents, what it is and how it really came to be? I know you gave us a brief description earlier, but can you really flush that out for us and tell us that story?
Yeah, sure. But before I do you mind if I think some of our listeners probably don't know what talents are yet?
No.
So
They have the show notes, so they have at least what we have in the show notes.
Okay.
Well, I guess what were you planning?
They're talking.
I'm just gonna explain what talents are.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and do that because yeah. So explain it. Go ahead and talk about a little bit about what talents are and how they came to be.
Okay, so character talents. The book is called Character Options Talents. So talents are extraordinary aspects of a character's abilities, background, personality, physique, proficiencies, and features. They are similar to, but not always as powerful to standard feats. They offer a means for you to improve your current existing abilities, slightly or temporarily shift game mechanics into your favor. They provide you with a new capability, or they just build your character's background and personality for a richer role-playing experience. So that's what talents are, and I wish I called them perks because that Wizards of the Coast is, I think, going to release something that are called talents as well, and I think it's for the. So yeah, so I wish I just called this perks. But anyway, so how do you acquire talents? You acquire them just like old school talents. One at first level, and then once again at third level, and every 3 levels thereafter. So there. If you're familiar with Pathfinder and third edition, it's in line with those kinds of feats.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. But 5e feats are kind of a little bit more powerful, right, compared to third edition.
Oh, for sure.
But they're also harder to get too.
Yep.
Yeah, they are. So there. So those are talents. So how did they come to be? Well, when D&D Next came out, right? We were playtesting D&D, and that's when I started seeing that how they were shaping talents, and we were already playtesting it as well. That's when I started, okay, fine. I think I have to homebrew this because I felt that going back again, why I always enjoyed 3.5 or even Pathfinders because they gave me the most options for customizing characters.
That's true.
So, yep. So before third wave came out, we were already playing games like Diablo that gave us options to customize our characters each time we leveled up. So we can both have the same class, but have totally different game approaches or styles, right? Remember, if you guys play Diablo or any of those kinds of games. But in third edition, it's the same thing. We can both have fighters, but your fighter could probably be like the cleaver guy, and my fighter would be the two weapon type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
So in third ed, it was the feats and the multi-class rules. For me, those were the best things that came out third ed. It provided me a platform or way to make specific builds. I mean, we can practically break down, or we could practically create characters similar to Driz or Conan or The Witcher.
Right.
We could, because we all had the feats that we could build those in specific characters, and if there weren't, we can build it. So it's easy. So if when fifth ed came out, I like that they went back to the class rules of third ed and before. I loved how they made combat easier to run, even at higher levels. Because to be honest, third ed and Pathfinder, it was hell to run fight combat after 11th level.
Yeah.
I mean, it was already tedious at 6th level and above, but at 11th level, I don't know how you'd run it if we did simplify the die rolling. I mean, we were already averaging at 6th level. That's how we did it to speed up the games. Otherwise, you'd only have what combat would probably be an R to run. So it could take an hour. So yeah, something like that. Especially if we have big parties. So yeah. So however, the lack of player customization was very disappointing for me. There were archetypes, yes, but not enough options for you to specialize or be more diverse. So yes, there were feats, but it wasn't enough. So players would do the same actions over and over without much variety. I wanted to see different options. I just wanted to see my players be more creative. So I introduced character talents.
So to kick off that, do you ever reflavor existing abilities so they feel different?
Reflavor? No, I don't. I don't really touch any of the rules. They're there. I don't when I customize stuff. The same rules in D&D, they're there. It's just I create new things. So the talents, just either improve on them or just do a slight modification. But yeah, it's essentially you can use the talents book, and all the rules in the PHB are still going to be the same.
All right. Well, that's awesome.
Did I answer? Yeah, sorry. Did I answer your question correctly?
Kinda. I was talking about reflavoring as in reskinning, where you don't change the mechanics, just the flavor. We just released a small PDF that took the barbarian and fighter build and only reflavored the text to give it the feel of the symbiote from the.
Could you give me an example?
Yeah. If you give me 1 second, I will read a sample to you and see if that helps.
Okay.
And all we did was we basically built a character from level 1 through 20 and basically multi-classed them between the fighter and the barbarian.
Yeah, and then
that's it.
We just described it workingly. For instance, I'll read this one. This is called symbiotic form. Your symbiote bursts from within your flesh and encases your body, enhancing your offense and defense combat capabilities. On your turn, we can enter symbiotic form as a bonus action. While in our symbiotic form, we gain the following benefits if we are not wearing armor. We have advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. When we make an attack using strength, we gain a +2 bonus to damage. So this is basically just rage. But as you go through the entire thing, though we didn't change anything, we made an existing combination sound and feel completely different.
Yeah.
And
I get it.
I found that was easier in 5th edition than it was in previous editions. But that might just be me.
So Sam thinks you're psychic because you've answered 3 of his questions that he was typing.
Yeah, I didn't even get a chance to respond to him, ask him because you're already on top of it.
Right.
But anyways, so have you ever did it start off as something like that before you started creating all these, or did you just kind of say, this doesn't have this, I want this, I'm gonna make this?
More of the latter, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't really. It was more of me. addressing things that were either missing or I found weak, or yeah, those are just, or just providing extra options. That's it. I didn't really, if it's already working on its own, yeah, I just left it
Right,
there.
right.
Sure.
But the one thing that I did though, because I started this as more really just house rules, so I didn't do it for every class, just the
Okay.
classes that my players were playing. It didn't make sense for me to create everything until one decided that, hey, I want to play this. Are you going to build the talents for this guy? Okay, then yeah, I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
So those things. Yeah, it's really started as that. I mean, as a DM, I would notice that some players would suddenly feel that they're left out. Why is this guy so good at this part, or this guy's good part? And I'm more like, I can do a number of stuff, but nothing can shine, something like that. So I had to do some stuff to make them enjoy the game,
Sure.
and it led to this one.
So, what was your favorite part about creating talents, and what are some of your favorite ones?
Um, okay, so I can't say what was the favorite part of creating out me, but I probably enjoyed going through each race, class, skill, and feat, and try to figure out how you can create a talent for it and still make it balanced and interesting
Sure.
to make an impact in the game. So it was that. It was like, okay, now I'm going through each class. Now I'm at the uh, College of Valor Bard. Okay, well, I'm going to look at his skills. How can I tweak this? What are the things that I'm? So it's those things, and sometimes it would be easier for me to come up with something. Sometimes it doesn't, and I have to probably rethink it. And yeah, it practically took me almost a year to finish talents because I had to
Wow.
keep on. Basically already have half of it, but yeah, the other half was something that I had to build because I never really had a chance to play test it, so that was the challenge,
Sure.
and I had to play test it afterwards. So
Right.
yeah, there.
Have you had to
Um,
rebalance anything since you've published it?
yeah, definitely, I did. There were a couple in talents one, but the most I probably had to rebalance was for the second book
Okay.
because I couldn't really play test it that much
Right.
anymore. Yeah, but I had to. And one of the things that probably had there was one skill, if you remember, the second book was covering Unearthed Arcana, and they had one class. Unearthed Arcana released this class. It was a defender type, and it allowed you um, to have infinite use of your reaction when it comes to opportunity attacks.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah. So there was one class. So what I did was I used that and I kind of tweaked it, and it was broken. And someone just had to point out to me how it can be broken, and I realized, yeah, oh my God, yeah, you're right. If that character had a whip, was a rogue, and had the sentinel feat,
Oh
no one
wow.
could actually, yeah, no one could actually come in. None.
Yeah,
No one
because he
actually
could
touch.
he could crack the whip and keep them at a distance, and they would never be able to
Yep.
close that gap.
Stay back. Stay back.
Yep.
Stay back.
None.
Stay back.
They
Which-
can't. None.
Sounds like an awesome whip build to me. Back.
Yeah.
Biatch!
So so I had to tweak it. So but yeah, so things like those. It was but yeah, you really definitely will without any playtest you will encounter. But yeah, gladly at least probably just 5% of the talents I had to retweak and rebalance, but most were fine. But you know what? I will probably go through talents 1 and talents 2 again when I'm done with my current book,
Mhm.
and I'll probably address some of the other issues that needs tweaking. And I know I already have notes. I just don't want to touch the current build right now. But yeah,
Right.
I definitely
could,
needs a little bit more polishing.
You could call you could call it the whip and nay.
Oh
No.
God.
As in, no.
No, you can't get no closer.
No.
So do you have a favorite talent?
You done fucked up.
Yeah, I do. I have a couple. Before I go about it and I pick some of my favorite talents. Let me first explain the types of talents. In the book, there are 4 types. There are general, racial, class, and faction.
Mhm.
Racial and class talents are self-explanatory. Faction talents are talents you pick up when you're a member of a particular faction, such as the Harpers or the Zentarim. And then the last one, general talents, can be further broken down into 4 categories. There would be ability, background, combat, and miscellaneous. So most of them are self-explanatory again. Miscellaneous talents are any other talents that don't fall into any of those categories. But background talents, I want to explain what background talents are. So let me share how I came up with background talents.
Let's hear it.
Yep. So if I let's say I want to, I got inspired by watching Batman or Sherlock, and I want to make a detective-like character. Then I'd want to have, how do I explain this? I want to have to be really good at it. So one of the drawbacks of 5e is that your skill checks at lower level are pretty much at the mercy of the die roll. I mean, the only times you can probably actively be in control of the outcome is if you can somehow convince your DM that you should have advantage to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but if you don't have advantage, you're left with only your proficiency bonus, which is at low levels, levels 4 and below, it's +2.
Right.
So, okay, so you can say an ability bonus can also help, but what if it's an ability that the required ability is a score that isn't efficient for your class? Let's say I pick a ranger, and if I'm an average player, most of my stats will be in strength, dexterity, and in constitution, right?
Right.
Okay, so now let's say I come upon the half-eaten remains of an animal, and I want to find out who or what caused this. So, who would you normally think would be doing that? It's the ranger, right?
Probably the ranger.
Ranger. So I can either make a nature or investigation check.
Correct.
But I don't have an intelligence bonus, so the best means would be a +2 on the roll,
Right.
and then roll 1d20. Because as an average player, I probably didn't invest in intelligence. So that's it. I'm a
Right.
ranger, and the only thing that sets me apart from my other companions is a +2. Ditto when I probably try to track whatever ate that animal. So chances are the party wizard would have a higher chance of making the check, and the cleric would probably have a higher chance of tracking it as well. So, right? I
Right.
mean, it's a little.
Yeah, it's backwards.
It's
yeah.
a little weird. It's weird. So,
I mean, at higher
that's
levels, it
why-
becomes way more
Yeah.
balanced. But
It
you're right.
really
At low levels, I mean, those are definitely squirrel tracks. Excuse
yeah.
me, sir.
So
Those are
there.
black squirrel
So
tracks.
that's why I was able to. It inspired me to do the background talents. So background talents are talents that help you be more successful in your chosen background or role or profession. So
Right.
in the book, I think I made 11 backgrounds in the first book. Examples are cunning spy, daring explorer, dashing scoundrel, etc. But one of my favorites is the shrewd investigator. So let me read the description. From a young age, you have always been highly observant. You notice things that most others do not. You can spot clues and significant details that others will simply find as irrelevant. You can often tell when a person is lying, and you can easily draw out or leverage information from others. You can track even the most elusive of queries. So what's the benefit? You have 3 shrewd investigator points. Whenever you make an ability check that involves the skill insight, intimidation, investigation, perception, or survival, you can spend 1 shrewd investigator point to roll a d12 and add it to the result. You can choose to spend 1 of your shrewd investigator points after you roll the die, but before the outcome is determined. You regain all your expended shrewd investigator points when you finish a long rest. So there.
That's awesome.
That's it. So, and notice I also use a die that's seldomly used, so it's d12.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really just a +6.
Yeah, I really
Alright.
like this. I think this is you found a way to really make those people shine that want their background and their backstory and their character's livelihood to really play an important part in the game, and allows them to really stand out amongst their allies and stuff and such. I would like to point out that Samuel says book sold. Cheers. So
Oh,
one of our patrons is buying your book. So, and hopefully many more once they listen to this. If you guys don't know, we will have a link in the show notes directly to this book, as well as I'll make sure there's a link when we post it on Facebook and Twitter as well. And check out our blog, that'll have it in there as well. So there'll be many opportunities for them to navigate to this awesome product. So that's a really good one you chose there. I really like that, and well done on the backgrounds.
You will notice when before this, they wouldn't your players would probably not be doing anything that risky. But when they have something like this, another example is the Dashing Scoundrel or any of the talents that give you a bonus to your athletics or acrobatics checks, they were willing to do something risky because they have that in hand that they can do, and it tend to make the bit your games a bit more exciting. If they didn't have any, they would be more guarded. They would be more reserved.
Absolutely. So we've gone ahead and picked out a few of some of the ones that we really liked.
Go ahead.
And
I only picked one.
well, that's fine. There's a few on here that we'd love to talk about, and if you have any insight in your great experience with these creations from your loins here, we'd love to hear it. The first one I picked I thought was really interesting. It's called Arcane Knowledge. You can prepare and cast an arcane spell just like a wizard. Now, this has a prerequisite of being a high elf, so this is a racial talent, which is really cool. And if you remember, the high elf also gets an extra cantrip, so that fits right in line with that already racial trait that they have. So the benefit is you learn one first level spell from the wizard spell list. You always have the spell prepared, and it does not count against the number of spells known that you can prepare each day. Intelligence is your spellcasting modifier. Once you use the spell, you cannot cast it again until you complete a short or long rest. Now, you're basically, no matter what class you pick, you have a spell.
Yep.
Which I think is fantastic. What I really think interesting, and I'd like to hear the fact that they get it back on a short rest. That's powerful, because that's a unique feature of the Warlock, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of made that what went into making this this talent?
Okay. Wait. What does it say again? Does it say that you can after a short rest?
Short or long rest.
Okay. I think that's the old version.
No, I
kind of tweak. It's
tweak
fine.
it? Oh, it's okay. That's important to know. Because I know you're constantly. I did get this a while ago.
I was about to say though, I guess go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry. So just to be sure, that's Arcane Knowledge, right?
Yes, Arcane Knowledge.
Arcane Knowledge. Okay. So in my master copy, I think we had to rebalance that one. So now it's once you cast the spell using this feature, you cannot cast it again until you finish a long rest.
Okay, that's important because that really stood out to me. I was like, damn. Like, it doesn't matter what class I am, I would be a high elf because I would take this talent, and I would always have like shield or some shit like that in case shit happened,
Yeah.
So
no, so I kind of tweaked it, and but yeah, I mean, it depends on your class. The first spell you pick can really address one of your weaknesses. So
for sure,
imagine being a fighter with the sleep spell.
Reflavor that shit as a fart. Knock everyone out.
Or
wow.
Yeah, it can easily address one of your weaknesses. I mean, if you're a particular class, or even make it even more difficult. Get a rogue with expeditious retreat, right? Something.
I love it. I love that what that opens up for the high elf. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And it's unique to the high elf, which means I don't got to worry about every player in the group taking it.
Yeah.
If it is a little more or a little less powerful than something else. Ian or Brandon, one of you want to take the next one here?
As in what we've chose or what's on the show notes?
What's on the show notes? We're going to get through all of them. I'll have you add yours in a minute. I think we got like 6 total or 7 total. Maybe something like that. I don't know.
The next one is, what do we got here? Crafty Dealer.
Oh, it's another background.
Yep.
Is that what this is?
Background talent.
Background
Yep.
talent?
You don't got to read the mechanic part. We'll just talk about the just read the flavor and we'll discuss.
You have uncanny knowledge of the prices and trends of commodities. You can easily recognize an opportunity to earn a profit, sometimes exploiting the ignorance of others. You are very rarely taken advantage of, and you can spot a con or a trick a mile away.
So the Ferengi feat, got it.
So this
Yep,
is
it did. Exactly.
so this is very similar to the investigator you just discussed. The mechanics works the same. You get 3 crafty dealer
Yep.
points, and you can roll a d12 to enhance that. And I picked this out because I thought that this was really cool, and it really it stood out. And once again, it's a background thing, so you have to have a background that would justify why your character would do this. I mean, because I don't imagine like a dumb barbarian would take this, though. That would be really interesting. Like he just happens to notice random shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't say here in this book, but in my house rules, the first talent that my players have to get if we're going to apply the talents rules is that it has to be a background talent, and we can only get it at level 1. So that way, you can't change it later on, and you can only have 1 background talent.
Okay.
And that's your house rule, right?
Yeah, house rule. But
Okay.
here, I mean, it's up to you how you want to use it.
Sure.
Definitely.
I could see the person that likes to be like the skills monkey wanting to take a bunch of these. Like he's just
Yeah.
reading all the time, and he's good at whatever he does.
Yep.
Can't really...
A bard would probably be someone who would be like a dashing scoundrel,
Mhm.
right?
Right. That's
And
one of the other
get-
talents, right?
Try to cover, but normally it's someone who's too. You could probably have someone who's min-maxed for combat. Like the example I gave you, a ranger who, let's say, an archer ranger, spent all of his points in dexterity and constitution, and that's it. But still wants to be someone really good at tracking stuff. So he could get the rugged outdoorsman and not probably worry about the animal handling, athletics, nature perception, and survival skill
Right.
checks anymore. But he has that, right?
For sure.
At least. So there, something like that. I mean, it just rounds up your character. Just make sure that you can still function in a non-combat situation.
Right. And there's a lot of players that's their favorite part of the game. So having
Yep.
options like this or having talents like this really can really appeal to those sort of players that I don't care about anything else, but I want to be the best damn investigator there is. Ain't nothing getting by my ass.
You're the best.
Yeah.
Around.
Ian, do you want to take the next one?
Fuck, man.
Totally. Improved dodge. You can attack while dodging.
What?
Benefit. When you take the dodge action, you can make 1 weapon attack, but you have disadvantage.
Okay.
That's still a pretty strong
Before he jumps in here, what do you guys think about this?
Tactical retreat.
Yeah, okay, tactical retreat.
Well, I guess with disadvantage, yeah.
Yeah.
At first I'm thinking, holy shit.
Like a tank, a fighter. I see a fighter with a shield being able to hold in a line. Sure, he'll occasionally hit something, but
Yeah.
it makes that dodging mechanic more appealing, even if it's at disadvantage. Because some people just, I dodge. Well, most people love the rolling of the dice.
Yeah.
And when you take the dodge action, that kind of part of the game is kind of taken away. So this, I think, really makes that sort of mechanic more desirable, even if it is at disadvantage. Tell us kind of what the creative thought on this
Okay.
talent is.
There was at low levels. Sometimes you go into a situation where, okay, what am I going to do? Am I just going to try to dodge? But if I'm going to dodge, that monster would still be there. And if he rolls high enough, I'm still going to be dead, right?
Right.
Right. So what can I do? This is my option. If can I just dodge and still make 1 weapon attack with disadvantage? And you can do that with some of the brute monsters or the beast where they have low AC. You can take that risk.
Right.
But really, this is the improved dodge. If you'll just take a look at it closely,
I'm looking.
it
about
sounds
6
powerful.
inches from it.
Yes, at low levels, but at higher levels, it's not, because remember, you can't take. It's a dodge action, right? So that you're taking the dodge action. If you're like a fighter has multiple attacks, you're
Right.
going to lose all of those multiple attacks.
Yeah.
Right.
You're only left with one attack. So there. So yeah, it's a situational talent, and so I contemplated, is this too unbalanced? But no, it's really situational, and it doesn't get that powerful later on. Now, but I can probably see the rogue using this
Oh, for sure.
often. Yep. So
Uh-oh.
there, but then that's the flavor of the rogue, right?
Right. Absolutely. I really like this one. I thought this was really cool because once again, without good flavor from the DM, the dodge action is very mundane. Like, if you just say I take the dodge action, the DM just moves on to the next person, that's not interesting. If you got a good DM that jumps in and says, "Oh yeah, the kobold swipes at you with a scimitar, you duck below it, he swings back around, you kick it with your foot to avoid the incoming blow," if you've got that action is fine. But in and of itself, it's generally not that interesting. So I find it doesn't get utilized as often as it probably should, especially in tactical situations. And having this available as a player, I definitely think that this would be a really cool thing to take if I know I'm getting low on health. Honestly, I would even take this as like a wizard or something. Like when you get those guys that are chasing you and shit, you've got shields and stuff, but sometimes your shield gets penetrated. So imposing disadvantage with your shield is awesome. So, because I don't know if anybody listening noticed, but there was no prerequisite for this.
Nope.
Nope, none.
Which is awesome. So,
Anyone can use a dodge action, right? So yeah.
right.
Dodge!
You want to take the next one?
All right, and this is actually one of my picks here. Our next one is Invigorating Rage. And basically, you have a massive rush of adrenaline when you successfully hit a creature. While you also rage, you also get healed. And the prereq for this is a level 6 barbarian. And the benefit is, when you're raging, you can choose to regain 1d4 health points each time you hit a creature with a weapon attack. And once your rage ends, you cannot use this feature again until you finish a long rest. Now, I like playing barbarians, as you very well know.
Yeah.
And so, the idea of actually healing when you hit somebody sounds pretty awesome, especially if you decide to wield two weapons at the same time and do a weapon attack.
Absolutely.
And that just makes a tanky barbarian even more tanky.
Sounds so funny. So he goes.
Okay, wait. Can you read the benefit again? Because I think it's only the first time you hit a creature. So each turn. So you'll only be able to regain the hit points once.
Well, as written is, when raging, you can choose to regain 1d4 hit points each time you hit a creature with a weapon attack. But once the rage ends, you cannot use this feature again until you finish a long rest.
Okay.
So
I really yeah. So the new
maybe I should have had you send me an updated one.
yeah, it's fine. But yeah, the new text is that you'll only be able to regain it's higher now though. You regain 1d6 hit points the first time you hit a creature. So
Okay.
Each turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's still pretty cool. And this just goes to show you, all the listeners who would be concerned about like balance issues, this shows that he is constantly making these adjustments to offset balance issues. So that is awesome on your part, by the way, because you've already gone beyond this document and you've made more since. If you're constantly going back and changing them and updating them based on feedback, that's fantastic.
Could you imagine having this with cleave? You run into battle and you hit 6 creatures at the same time. It's like, bam!
Well, I feel great, motherfuckers! Let me drink that blood! Yeah!
Oh yeah, have you read Cleave, right? You've probably read Cleave as well.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
I have not read it, but I know what Cleave is.
I was happy to see Cleave in there because that was missing, and that made me very sad.
Yeah, it's actually an optional role in the DMG, though. I don't know why most people don't use it.
Because most people don't read the DMG.
That's true. All right, Brandon, which one did you
I
pick?
need to read that more. I chose Infernal Wrath because I like playing tieflings.
Yeah.
Let's see here. You call upon your supernatural nature to improve your odds of harming your foe. The benefit is that on your turn, you can on your turn, you can use a bonus action to choose a creature within 30 feet that you can see. This creature must have dealt damage to you or has caused you to fail a saving throw from the previous turn. Until the end of your turn, gotta go here. Whenever you deal damage to that creature, you deal an additional damage equal to your charisma modifier, which can be massive because they get a bonus to their charisma, don't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So Infernal Wrath is actually if does it Infernal Wrath, does it sound familiar to you guys?
Yes, it sounds like Hellish Rebuke, but
Yeah.
in a
So
different.
it's fourth edition. It's fourth edition that I just had to recustomize for 5e. But yeah, it's essentially the same rule. But yeah, so it is again situational. Uh, it kind of sounds like it's really powerful, but remember, you have to first get the damage dealt to you.
Yeah.
So that's one
Right.
thing. So you either have to trigger it. Sometimes, I think one player of mine always would try to base an enemy, picks one that's really weak. But it doesn't make sense. If you're gonna base someone that's weak, then why would you even use it, right? You want
Right.
to use this against the powerful one.
So, I mean,
So yeah, so there.
I could see
So
it
that's
being
why
used
it
pretty well.
kind of sounds powerful, but then to trigger it, it can be dangerous.
Like
Yeah.
if someone hits you, then you use Hellish Rebuke as a reaction to hit them for damage, and on next turn, smack them with a magic missile, and they'll end up
Yep.
doing extra damage too.
That's it.
I love these things. So there's just a couple more I want to talk about really quick. They're very short, but I really love the flavor that they come in. The first one is potent breath weapon. Now, as a guy who loves breath weapons, I love a dragonborn druid who turns into a bear and breathes fire on people. It's fucking fantastic.
But I do
Um,
think they did definitely nerf the breath weapons compared to what used to be.
Well,
Yep,
I'm glad
You
you
did.
I'm glad you brought that up because other than having a prerequisite of being a dragonborn, the benefit is you get to re-roll ones and two, or it says you all die rolls of one are treated as twos, so increases your minimum damage,
Increases your damage floor, yeah.
yeah, which is fantastic. That's a very subtle thing, but I think it's really nice because the dragon breath weapon is one of like the iconic things of being a dragonborn. And some people don't want to use it because they feel like it's a little weaker, and they're not wrong. It's definitely weak compared to what it is, but I thought that was a really nice one. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was the sunlight adaptation, which the prerequisite is being a drow elf. You have grown accustomed to daylight after decades of living on the surface. You do not gain disadvantage from attack rolls and wisdom perception checks imposed by sunlight sensitivity. Woohoo! There are many players that will love this thing because they don't play drow because of this very
That's
issue.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome because now you're putting things in there that have been deterrents for players not choosing certain things for optimization reasons, you know.
And the other thing
Yeah.
too is like some of these talents address things that were present in past editions but are no
Yep.
longer there.
Definitely. Yes. Sunlight adaptation is one of those. Which is kind of, I don't know why they had to leave that out. I thought it could probably be a good as a feat at least,
Mhm.
and then just probably add some more stuff. But yeah. So yeah, it definitely had to be here. There are also a couple of. Do you still have more talents you wanna?
No, I think we're done with the
Okay.
talents. My patron here does have a question for you, a couple of them.
Okay, sure. Okay.
I already know one of the answers, but I'm gonna go ahead and let you answer it. What is the difference between talents 1 and talents 2? And
Okay.
then the follow up to that is the current versions on the DM's Guild the most up to date, and does the purchaser get some sort of access to errata as you make the changes?
Okay. What are the differences of? Okay, first question. Talents 2 is an expansion of Talents 1. Okay, so the talents that are covered there still covers the player's handbook, and now also the Dungeon Master, the DMG, and then it also covers the books that were outlined there. Let me just take a quick look, just to be sure.
I really gotta poop.
That's nice.
Too much info.
Oh, dude, that is definitely not the worst of the too much info that's been on here.
Oh no. Not even
Luckily
close.
we edit the show before it airs.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay,
We've had
just
some pretty rough
pulling up
things.
the book. Give me a sec.
No
So just
problem.
make sure that. So yeah, in Talents 2, it supports content. So aside from the PHP, it also supports content from the Xanardar's Guide to Everything, Unearthed Arcana, Sword Coast Adventures Guide, Elemental Evil Player's Companion, and yeah, so those are it. Because the first book it only covers the PHB. That's why. So there's a lot more content here, but bear in mind, it only covers the UA Unearthed Arcana stuff that's based last year, 2017. Nothing from this year yet.
So for those that are following the show, I will make sure there's links to both of those in the show notes, and when I post it, so you'll have access to check them both. Excuse me, so you can check them both out.
Okay. As for the question about errata, no, I haven't been tracking my errata. That's probably that's my bad. But yes, the books that are on the DMG on DMG right now are the latest versions.
So if you update it, they can just go re-download it, right?
Yep, and they'll be informed. All they have to do is just go to the DMG, and in DMG there's this in my account information. There's the second tab that says updated titles. It'll be there.
He's asking about should he buy both books or does Talents 2 contain both? And
no, Talents 2 doesn't contain both. Talents 1 is a different set of talents, but Talents 2 is also a different set.
Wonderful.
But if you're thinking Talents 2 will only cover the new books, no, it still covers the PHP. I had to create more talents based on PHP because it's like I had to do around 3 to 4 talents each for each archetype. I had to cover it, so I had to do more for PHP just to balance everything out.
So awesome. There's actually a couple more questions on here, but I think there's
Go ahead.
there's only really one that we haven't covered.
Okay.
But so you've really been an awesome guest. I have loved this book. I plan on picking up the other two, Talents 2 as well as Monster Talents. I'm really excited for that. But aside from those, is there any new secret projects that you could give our Crit Nation here a little taste of? Something you're working on a little bit?
It is definitely a secret project. I'm not really sharing it, but okay.
You can give as little or as much detail as you want. It's up to you.
It's going to be another DM accessory. It's not going to be about talents, definitely not. But it is connected, and it's going to be a DM accessory, and it's something I've been working on and off. In fact, I've already worked on this even before I made Talents 1.
Really?
And now, yep, and
That's exciting.
it's something that I use. And it has something to do with Monster Manual. So that's it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for giving us a little sneak peek there. When it releases, let us know. We'll make sure to bump it, or even cover it.
Oh, yeah. So, if you don't mind, there's
one of our patrons just said, "Shut up and take my money." Thanks, Sam.
I wanted to share 2 more talents, if that's okay.
Have at it, man.
2 more talents that this was really one of the first talents that I had to make for 5e.
Okay.
And so 1 was Multitasker. If you've seen it, have you seen it? Multitasker.
Honestly, you have 200 talents in here, and I have not read them all.
Okay, so let me describe Multitasker. This one, it addresses one thing that I kinda was disappointed about 5e. So Multitasker is you can concentrate on maintaining 2 spells at a time.
Oh shit.
So you can maintain concentration on a spell even if you cast another spell that requires concentration. Maintaining concentration in 2 spells imposes disadvantage on your constitution checks to maintain concentration.
Oh.
Casting a 3rd spell that requires concentration ends one of the 2 previous spells, your pick. There. That's it. So why did I make this? It's not because for the players. It's not. One of the things that I had to do this for was that because it's for my villains. It was a little that you would build all of these spells and you'd cast Hold Person on one of the characters, and you can't cast another spell like Slow or anything that requires concentration anymore, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I had. Well, I balance it at just 2, and yes, it has further balance. I further balance it that if you get hit, I mean, you have disadvantage on your concentration check. But yeah, but I just really wanted the ability to maintain spells that you require, at least 2 spells that require concentration. And I don't mind if a player has it, but for me, it's important for my NPC casters.
I like that you impose.
Especially.
I like that you impose disadvantage on the con save, because that's critical to holding it.
Yeah.
I actually had. We've talked about this on the show before, where I had a spellcaster, and I let him use 2 concentration spells, and I had a player call me out on it and give me a bunch of shit in the middle of a game. And I was so PO'd about it. This was with Ryan. He spotted it, and he was giving me shit the whole time. It was back and forth, but I love this, and I totally am just gonna say that all my villains have this now. So
Yeah, right.
uh,
It's really more for the DM, but yeah,
Yeah.
players can use it. That's fine.
Well, the other thing too, though, is like in the past editions, you didn't really have concentration, so it was definitely
Yeah,
not
you don't.
uncommon for
Yeah.
people, especially before combat, to drop multiple buff spells on somebody.
right.
Yeah, but that's one of the reasons why it became tedious for third ed. I mean, it didn't impose any limit on buffs, and so it became very, very predictable. I mean, every time you enter into a combat with a high level wizard, you're going to expect stone skin. You're going to expect all of those anti-magic shells every time, right? For a
Right.
high level combat, it'll always be there. So at least I think what 5e was doing was to simplify that. I mean, they were trying to make sure that you only have at least one spell that's protecting you,
Right.
and it also doesn't make it too unbalanced. I mean, that's why that was a very big advantage for casters for third edition. I mean, the ability to prepare for that, and then let's say, I mean, both of you are level 15. One's a level 15 fighter, and one is a level 15 wizard. Who do you think was going to win? I mean, if I had the prep.
The wizard.
I
So
think
there, unless you're a 15 level fighter who had anti magic as well, then
my
yeah,
fighter
maybe,
doesn't
but-
ever lose.
So
Because
there,
yeah, like in 3.5, like, okay, before we go into this room, and there's totally weapons there, okay, barbarian, don't move. Bear strength, stone skin, bark skin, enlarged person, haste, go!
yeah,
Whoa, all right.
yeah, so there. But yeah, right. So it becomes very predictable because of
Yeah.
all of those preps. So yeah, I think that one fixes it. But I just want to have at least you can maintain concentration of 2 spells, so you can still paralyze one of those pesky barbarians. And then at least cast another spell that can cover another one, like summon
Right.
another creature, right? So there, that's
Right.
it.
Did you mention you had one more?
Yeah. One last. Are you guys familiar with the cold shot
Yeah.
term?
Called
Yeah.
shots? Yes.
Oh yeah. So for some of the readers who are not familiar, it's a term coined way back in AD&D. During combat, you can call your shot or make a cold shot. This means you want to attack a specific part or area of a target. So for example, a player can say, I'm going to do a cold shot and aim for the Cyclops eye. If I hit, I should be able to blind it. So, or I want to aim for the octopus's arm or the Otyug's tentacle
Mhm.
and try to lop it off. What do I need to roll? So those are cold shots.
Right.
So I made something similar. It's not as powerful, but it's the reason why I made this is because I wanted one archetype to have a bit more option than, and I'm talking about the champion archetype of the fighter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at his skills,
It's
it doesn't
very
really
plain.
it doesn't have to think, right? All he has to do is just keep on rolling to
Right.
attack and pray for a critical, right? That's it. I mean, he's powerful if he really reaches high level, but damn, he's going to be very boring to play compared to, let's say, the Battle Master, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So there. So what I did is I created a talent for him for a fighter level 6 champion archetype. It's called Cold Strike. You aim at a particular part of a creature's body when you attack with a weapon. So what's the benefit? you can choose to impose disadvantage on your next weapon attack. If you hit, it is considered a critical hit.
Okay.
Once you use this feature successfully, you can reuse it again. You can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest. So there. At least you have one option. Okay, I'll impose disadvantage. If I miss, that's fine, because it won't be considered as something that you use. Remember, it says once you use this feature successfully. There.
Ooh. And remind me, what was the prereqs for Cold Shot again?
Level 6 champion archetype.
Level 6, fighter
Okay.
level 6, champion archetype.
Okay.
So it's very specific about who can use it, not just class, but archetype.
No. Yep, archetype.
Okay, because about to say, if this was open, I could. Yeah.
You definitely get it for your barbarian.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You can multi-class.
Yeah, but yeah, barbarians are pretty. They already have a lot of options that you can do per turn.
Yeah.
A
it's true.
champion archetype. Nah, this guy needed it.
Right.
This archetype needed it.
It did.
Yeah. I think that this entire book, and by extension Talents 2, is an amazing product. I think you've done a really good job. I love that you're continuously going
Thank
back
you.
and balancing it. That's super big for me, because that shows you're continually paying attention to what the people are saying about the product, because it's hard to take constructive criticism. I know, because I suck at it. I got to go punch a pillow a couple times after I read some posts of people before I respond. But being able to take and utilize what everyone's saying and improve your product is awesome. It helps maintain balance, and more importantly, continuous improvement in your product shows a lot of love for what you've done. And I personally love this. I've become an even bigger fan after having you on the show. So
Thank you.
I want to say thank you for creating such a wonderful product, Dragonix. Player Options Talents is an awesome book. And for all of our Crit Nation out there that's listening, we hope you guys have enjoyed this. And we want to thank you for joining us on the show. Do you want to give yourself one more plug? Hello?
Hello.
Oh, sorry. I got.
Got distracted?
Nope. I lost the connection for a bit.
Okay.
Sorry,
Oh,
what you were saying?
Would you before we close out, do you want before we leave you, do you want to give us one more do you want to give yourself a plug?
Yeah, sure. So, yep. I already have 4 books out in DMG. Character Talents is already a gold bestseller. I also have a sequel for that, to Character Talents 2. It has more talents in it, and if you're playing in any of the new books or any of the new races or any of the new archetypes from of any of the new books, yeah, it covers that as well. I also have Monster Talents, which gives talent-like perks to monsters, just so if you want to balance it. So
Sure.
you want to have your monsters be more dangerous, or if you want to surprise your players with a monster that has extra abilities, then yes, take a look at it. It works the same way as character talents, except that it's really just for monsters. And one more thing, yeah, I have an adventure of one of my very first DMG product. It's called Into the Dragon's Maw. If you bought the book, there are links to that as well. So it's a small adventure module, and what it features is that unlike it has a different setup than than a normal adventure, because it sets you up for a twist. It sets your players up for a twist.
I love twists.
And yep. So I can probably send you guys a copy if you want to take a look at it and review it. But
I would
yeah,
love
so
that.
that's something. So, yeah, so
Send
there.
it to us,
And
we'll review it.
just watch out for the next book. It should come out early next year.
Yeah, like I said, when it comes out, if I don't already catch it, make sure to tag us or shoot us a message, and we'll take a look at it.
Okay.
Let us know when it's
Thank you.
released. We'll even bump it too if if it's quality work. I
Thank you
kid.
very much.
It's all quality work.
Hope so. I hope so.
So thanks again, Dragonix, for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed hanging out with us for a little while.
Yeah, thank you as well for having me. Thank you as well.
We love promoting DMsguild, and especially amazing products, and you, sir, have amazing products. The one thing we didn't really talk about, and I want to allow you to give a brief shout out. The art in this book is really nice. Do you want to share who the artist is?
Yeah, that is Sandyson Gonzaga. So he's done all of the covers and some of the interior art of my books. And he's currently available at DeviantArt as well. So if you want to take a look at him, maybe I can provide you with the link.
Yeah, if you provide the link, I'll make sure it gets tossed in the show notes. The art's amazing. So.
Okay. So yeah, I'll just send it to you.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for joining us on the show and for our main topic and allowing us
You're
to
welcome.
explore monster talents on the next episode.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Hey, it's good. You have a good one, and thank you for joining us, man.
Okay. Welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And until
Bye.
next time.
See you later. Keep your blade sharp and spells prepared, hero. And there we are.
Yeah.
Was that awesome or what?
That was good.
There's so many options in this book. It's amazing, and I cannot wait to dig more into the monster talent stuff. Anyways, so before we move on to our Savret's very excited. No, he had to go. We were already crunching time as it was. So, we're doing our UTT, but he had to go. So before we move, so once again, thank you, Dragonix, for joining us. We really appreciate it. Everyone, make sure to go check him out. We have a link in the show notes. We'll have a link in the blog on our website, and probably a link in the Facebook post of this when it airs.
What are we gonna do about the Audacity?
It's streaming live, so I can just pull the YouTube feed.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I was freaking out for a second because I forgot to start Audacity for like the first 15-20 minutes. But I've lost the entire Audacity file before and just had to go pull it from the stream. That's the advantage of streaming. Now, the quality sometimes, because of the connection, isn't as fantastic, but it definitely is good in case of oh shit moments, which we just had.
Yeah.
Because we did the patron thing and I was exporting it, I forgot to restart it. Anyways, so before we move on to our unearthed tips and tricks, we have one more gift to give away, compliments of Loresmith. Ian. Ian, who's our winner today?
Our winner today is Bernard Hudson.
I gotta poop. I shouldn't move too much. Oh my god! Like if you ever have to poop and you're so afraid if you you got to fart too, and if you're afraid if you fart you're gonna have an accident, because that's where I'm at like right now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty horrible. But man, what an awesome guest. Pause the show. Now I'm gonna push through it. Wait, that's probably not the right choice of words.
No.
We'll start groundhogging here soon.
Prairie dogging, you mean?
Prairie dogging. Groundhogging.
The stream will forgive me. Well, I think it'll be more internet pure if I have an accent on the internet. Anyways,
Excuse me.
Congratulations to Bernard Hudson. If you enjoy the adventure, please head on over to Loresmith and let him know. Leave him a review. Let him know what you like, what you didn't like, and help him improve his product moving forward.
Yeah.
Ian,
Now we go. Oh.
would you like to take our first character concept or our first unearthed tips and trick?
Our first concept is the character concept of Listen to Teacher, given to us by Wouter A. A half-arc board.
What?
What?
A half-arc... I didn't know where board came... Actually, I think I read ahead by accident. Never mind. A half-orc bard with a strength build who has spent most of his life as a music teacher. He angrily berates his foes as if chastising a child, be it like a vicious mockery or cutting words. If they don't listen, he beats them with a sharpened ruler, javelin or staff. He uses banishment to put bad people in a timeout.
Oh my god.
Yes! So Sam says he couldn't help thinking about Scarred. That's the first thing I thought of when I was coming up with the titles. Like, sometimes you just have to listen to teacher. Oh, man. Who's the guy that plays his voice?
Jeremy Irons.
Yeah, I'd love Jeremy Irons' voice. Man, I wish I had a sexy-ass voice that was just awesome.
He's also British, so...
Well, that definitely helps. So just right off the cuff, what do you guys think about this character concept?
That's funny.
Yep.
Like I can see myself like getting erasers and throwing it at people.
It is time for punishment. Wow, that's...
He beats him with a sharp.
You know what I would do? You know what would be awesome with this? If you had little pieces of paper with grades on them, and when you gave out Bardic Inspiration, it was like you did great on your report today. It has like an A+ on it or something.
A+.
Oh my god, that shit's funny. How would you guys get the most out of this? You got the banishment for timeout. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
What else could you? What other teacher flavor could you give a character like this?
Nap time.
Oh yeah, sleep spell. All right, kids, you've been very bad. We're just gonna take a moment for sleepy time, okay?
Or you could use hold person for detention. Or something like that.
You know what? I was so hyper as a child that I had zero concept of what nap time was for in kindergarten.
To give you more
Or
energy.
to go.
You don't understand. I was hyper as a child. I did not take naps. In fact, my mom was actually worried when I did take naps because that usually meant I was sick.
Another thing, you could go the other way. It says he talks about cutting words,
Yeah.
which imposes disadvantage. You could have like D or E rating papers to give to the. I'm giving this enemy.
An F.
You failed this city. You have cutting word. What is it? The negative roll. It's hilarious. Sam says you can give a naughty hat with dissonant whispers, causing fear and turning around from the group, standing there pouting.
Here's an F because you are a failure at life, just like I always knew you would be.
I really like this character concept, and I think it would be a lot of fun. I just like intimidation checks would be me just slapping my sharp ruler on my hand. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
Of
All
course,
right, boy.
Hey, Dad, what do you call cheese? It isn't yours. You're my biggest regret.
Oh, that's funny.
I used to have hopes and dreams, but then they died. What happened? How old are you?
Is that from Fairly Odd Parents?
Yes.
That's horrible.
All right.
There's so many bad jokes in those shows.
There really
yeah,
is.
these kid shows aren't necessarily for kids.
Because how else do you think they make the parents tolerate them?
Yeah, I know, right? All right, so that'll do it for our character concept. Listen to teacher. Thank you, Wouter A, for submitting that.
I'm not for teacher.
Our monster variant of the day is the Mauling Werebear. Now, this feature comes right out of Monster Talents. Because guess what Monster Talents is?
They give talents to monsters.
It's exactly what I do on every episode. I build a monster with a variation. So I now have a new and powerful source for monster variant ideas.
I have the power.
So the origin of this is the werebear. You're going to give it a new feature called Maul. A large or small creature that is hit by the werebear's claw attack is grappled with an escape DC of 13. Until this grapple ends, the target is restrained and the werebear can automatically hit the target with one of its claw attacks, but can't use one of its claw attacks against other targets. So it kind of
focus fires.
it gives you an auto attack against the person you have you're mauling, which is or an auto success, right? But it limits who you can attack, which is still pretty cool because it really fits that flavor of the whole, being on top of something, and mauling into them. What do you guys think about this?
I think it's fun.
Yeah, it's simple and to the point. Get it?
I think it'd be a great fuck me moment because you get captured by it like no.
It's a werebear. Werebear? Their bear.
What I think is interesting though is you're restrained, which is far worse than just grappled.
Oh yeah.
Which is pretty cool, and I think that this would be a really good thing for like stalking. You've heard me talk about it before. I like it when somebody rolls a survival check to go check for food and they get a really low roll. This would be a terrible thing to run into when you're out scavenging for food or out by yourself getting water or doing one of those exploration scouting missions by yourself.
Sam, it's a large or smaller creature.
It says large or smaller creature, yes. So we can grapple. I don't know what size that creature is in and of itself.
A werebear?
Bear's large, right?
Large.
Yeah, but it's not a bear, it's a werebear. Completely different thing. It's like the difference between an elephant and an elephant seal. Completely different species.
Yeah, watch out for the dire bears. They're just like bears, but dire.
Jeez. According to this, they are. Yeah, I mean, it turns into a large bear. Yes.
Yep.
You can do like a hibernate form, but when it's in its full bear form, it's a large bear. So something of its size or smaller.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. Once again, using something like this to get the hold of somebody who's out by themselves when they split the party, that's a good thing to do. That's what I would utilize it for. Stumbling across shit. That'll do it for our monster variant, the Mauling Werebear. Brandon, you want to read our encounter?
Yeah. The Homes of Sorrow. Brought to you by Twitter @ShellbutT.
Oh, it's longer than that. You got to keep going. It's two people.
And @Draconic Gaming.
Okay, now say it all together without me interrupting.
Homes of Sorrow, brought to you by Twitter, at Shelbut and at Draconic Gaming. Kids are being stolen at night. The PCs have found clues of claw marks. What monster, entity, would you have snatching the kids? Why? A druid hermit in the woods who was stealing the children from abusive homes while in the wild shape.
Yes, in wild shape.
While in wild shape, yeah. And isn't actually a bad guy. He's giving them a better life free from pain and suffering.
What do you guys think about this?
It's like
The bad guy who's not actually a bad guy.
Yeah.
it's like Robin Hood, but instead of gold, it's kids.
Well, it's really interesting because I can see the adventurers being hired to go rescue these kids, and adventurers being the hobos might end up taking out a really good person. And then the kids, after they kill the big bad, quote unquote, the kids say they don't want to go home. They're happier now, something like that. How would the player? How would you as a player react to that?
It depends.
I don't want to go home. My daddy, when he has too much bourbon toe, he gets violent and he hits me and grabs me and shoves me into dark places.
I think it depends on which
Fuckers.
character I'm playing.
I can imagine it'd be much worse if they stumble into this place and they see that the kids have like bruises and scrapes and stuff. And after they kill the guy, they find out that the bruises and scrapes are from their parents.
After they return him, oh man, damn. So Sam says, so is he setting up an orphanage? It feels like the
Builder of Neverland.
That's funny. Maybe he could be. I think this is really great because once again, the bad guy's not a bad guy, and it can put the players in a situation where if they kill something without enough information, they make the wrong choice, and they hand deliver these kids back to abusive parents. And I think that any of that stuff really adds to the realism of the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that'll do it for any other comments?
Nope.
And that'll do it for our encounter of the podcast, Homes of Sorrow. Our magic item of the podcast comes from Baby Changeling. It is a rare item. It is the Harp of Melancholy. This harp is made of a combination of different creatures' bones. The rounded surface is that of a creature's spine, and every pluck of the harp's chords rings with a low sound of melancholy.
Wow. That got dark pretty fast.
You may use your action to sing the command word. If you do, you summon 8 swarms of rats per the conjure animal spell. With the exception, they are all treated as undead instead of fey and appear as skeletons. In addition, they have the undead fortitude feature. How cool is that? Summoning swarms of skeletal rats that don't die so easily.
Yeah.
That just seems terrifying.
Well, they're already dead, so.
Well, fair enough. Sounds like that's a lot of freaking rats. Yeah. So, what do you guys think about this? Hearing this, this very melancholy type thrumming, and then all these little undead rats come flying out at your enemy.
Wow, I'm thinking about like the summon rat ability from Dishonored. That is just plain. It's pretty messed up too. I mean. Well, it does what it sounds like. You summon rat swarms, but then they swarm you, and that means they gnaw them to death, but then they consume the body.
Mm-hmm.
That game is dark.
Yeah, it is.
So, what do you guys think about this magic item? You think it's an interesting one, good one? What I mean,
I like it.
How would you use this just to try to overrun your enemy?
Or distraction.
Or distraction. That's kind of what I thought.
Distraction.
Like, if you need to empty a building quick to save the civilians, summoning a horde of little tiny skeletal rats will do it.
Or even worse, you can use this to, what's the term? Shepherd people.
Oh, try to use them to, like, dogs and sheep?
It says 8 swarms. If you're running down a hall and you see a swarm of these things, you're going to want to turn down a different path.
Nope.
And you're going to see another swarm and you're going to want to turn down a different path.
Oh.
And you can use it as a viable way to make somebody run into someone else.
Where you want, yeah. So good for setting up, like, a ambush of somebody you're chasing.
Or one of your awesome little magic traps.
Brandon, can you read that?
Oh, do it in a barn with flammable hay everywhere, where the players are tasked with not burning the place down.
Jeez. Yeah, because with all these creatures, it'd be easy just to nuke them with a fireball and be done with it. But if your condition is to not kill everything, then definitely make it challenging. This is a really nice magic item. I want to thank Baby Changeling for submitting it. That is the Harp of Melancholy.
You ever gonna use my bow of shadows or quiver of shadows?
Probably. It's in the thing.
I like that.
I've got a nice list of stuff, but when I get new stuff that I think's better than the stuff I currently have, I always... You remember how weird that was, though. There was a lot of rules that I gotta go through. Someday.
Yeah.
So that'll do it for our magic item of the podcast.
Yeah.
Our Dungeon Master tip of the podcast is the invisible map secrets. You can use invisible ink or even laundry soap to draw secret areas on your maps, such as rooms hidden by an illusion, trapdoors, or moving bookcases, and other such secrets. When a check is made to locate an object, use a black light pen to reveal the area on the map to the players.
That's actually a really good idea, because I've done this with soap, and soap, laundry detergent, is very, very bright under a black light.
Yeah, you can if you really want to get really fancy, you can get an ink a quill pen, like a feather pen, and just dip it in the soap and draw and you can draw this right onto your I don't know about the invisible ink pens, but I know with the laundry soap you can draw it right onto your battle mat.
Yeah.
And nobody will be the wiser. It'll dry up, and you can then use your black light pen to reveal the secret. And it's really good for secret areas. What other Sam says until some other troll ass player catches on and brings their own black light. I'd be like, bitch, please, no more secrets for you, fucker. Anyways, so what other uses could you guys well, first of all, what do you think about this tip?
It's useful.
How cool would that be? I mean, I don't use battle mats very often, but I definitely think that would be a really neat trick and would really catch the players by surprise.
Yeah, I would.
Or you could just draw that secret room and just discover it.
Because it's definitely something.
But if you draw it, then they can see it.
Or better yet,
after you discover it.
Oh, that too.
Make an entire map with the soap, and then make it an ethereal type of thing, where they're in a different plane. And when someone comes to a certain square, you say you can't move further, and they have to do a check to see where they're at in the map.
Maybe use like a special ability like Blink. I think Blink lets you shift between the ethereal realm, right? Is that how that works?
Yeah. Maybe
put a puzzle on the other end that's somehow tied with magic to some physical object in the world. What are some other things you can see being used with this sort of technique?
Hidden messages and notes.
Hidden messages and notes is a good one. Actually, what you could do is you could write something out in Draconic, and if only one person can read Draconic, you can give them the flashlight with the translation on it.
Oh, nice.
And then they can look at it and read the translation. Like physically, all the players hand this note to the other player so they can read it. They get the black light, and then they read it out loud.
Huh.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Another thing you could do, what about residual magic? When somebody uses detect magic.
Ah.
If you have a room that's surrounded in magic, you can easily just draw a little bit of, energy circles around on the map, and then when they say I cast detect magic, boom, there's a swirling energy that shows up on the map. Sam uses a projector. That's too bad, Sam. Actually, I really I used projector for a while. It was really cool. But also the other thing you can do is invisible forces. If something can't be seen, like a barrier or something like that, once again, they realize there's a barrier, and you use a black light to kind of reveal its location. I think this is a really cool tip and could be really, really fun at the table. I really like the message one, though, man. I might actually use that. That's really cool. I like that.
Thank you. I know I'm awesome.
Sam says you can put a key on the side of a map or a solution to a puzzle box, and then reveal it with a black light. Very, very cool. That'll do it for our Dungeon Master tip of the podcast. Invisible map secrets. Let's play with laundry soap.
Don't drop the soap.
Do you want to take the play?
And our player tip for the podcast is...
Don't be a dick.
Brought to you by patron Gabe. Play up your character's age.
What? What was that?
Are you playing an aged, white-bearded wizard? Describe him as constantly leaning on his staff. Or maybe he conveniently mishears things whenever someone gives him bad news.
What?
He could rant and rave about the stew at the local tavern, or try to talk about how things used to be better back when he was a kid.
Back in my day, we didn't need to have the shin called Fortitude Shaves, and we liked it that way.
How about if you're playing a teenager? Maybe make the character's voice crack at inopportune times and make them really awkward around people that they find attractive.
That doesn't change after you're a teenager sometimes.
We've all been there, so you can
Still there.
you can really get some good gameplay out of it.
I'd like to get a barrel of bourbon, Toe. How old are you? 21.
Incontinent age, can't hold your shit. I feel like that way right now. That's what incontinent means, right? Can't hold your shit.
I don't
Can't control
know,
yourself?
but please hold it.
I think it means you can't control yourself.
Or
Gotta
if
pee
you're
and
playing
poop.
a child, like a sorcerer whose powers just manifested, and you could fail to understand anything the adults are talking about, and be constantly trying to find candy and play games.
We gotta slay this monster. Ooh, can I get some chocolate first?
Can we go? Can we go? Are we there yet? I gotta go pee.
Oh, thank you, Sam. I wasn't sure. I'm just now learning big words.
Are we
So,
there yet? No. Are we there yet? You know what? Yes. Then why haven't we stopped?
do you want to take the last one there?
Age is something that rarely comes into play, and most people don't even put the thought into it when making their... shit.
Start over.
Age is something that rarely comes into play, and most people don't even put thought into it when making their character. So take this aspect of your character and play it up so it feels like it actually matters.
Does anybody else want some butterscotch candy?
I think this is a great tip, and it's something that we've touched on a little bit. One of our very first character concept was like the really old druid or something like that.
Huh?
Where we don't talk so much about age, and it's important when it comes to building our characters. And I think that we really need to work hard as players to better remember that your age is definitely reflecting of how your character would behave.
What's that about Sage?
Sage? I hate that. It tastes nasty. All right, so I think that'll do it for our player tip of the podcast. Don't be a dick. And you can avoid dickitude by listening to Patron Gabe and play up your character's age.
Or NPC's ages, for that matter, if you're a DM.
Well, whatever. It's a player tip, so
That doesn't change my statement.
we'll make a DM tip later with the same information.
That's just lazy.
It's true. I do a lot. You'd be surprised how lazy I am.
No.
It's hard to tell when I've got 5-6 pages of notes every week, but... So, before we close out today, we have one more gift to give away. Compliments of Jeff Stevens. Somebody? Anybody?
Today's winner is Jay Sang Orya.
When it comes crashing down and it hurts inside, you gotta take a stand, it don't have to hide.
Jay Sang Saurye? I don't know. I can't pronounce how this is written.
Sing Sauria. Don't know. Hey, just enjoy the adventure, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, the enthusiasm, Ian. Sam.
Jason Sauria, if you enjoy Jang Sing Sauria, Jang Sing Sauria.
Don't be racist.
I'm not being racist. I'm trying to pronounce it in their cultural dialect. Shang Sing Song.
Racist.
Shang Sour Ya. Shang Sour Ya. Shang Sour Ya. If you enjoyed the adventure, please head on over and let Jeff Stevens know. Leave him a review. Let him know what you like, what you didn't like, and help him improve his product moving forward.
That just kept on getting worse.
So I'm going to change this title.
What?
Please join us on our next episode where we hear feedback from you, our heroes. We will be discussing Dragonix. We will be discussing monster talents from our buddy Dragonix, who we just had on the show.
Woohoo!
I'm really excited about it. I really think this is an awesome book, and I can't wait to share some of the variations that he came up with for you guys. If you're a DM, you're gonna look forward to it. It's fantastic.
Ugh. Please join us on our next episode. No, that was you. If you have any feedback, unearthed tips and tricks, or topics you would like us to discuss, please send them to us. You can email them to us at critacademy@gmail.com or find us on Twitter and Facebook at Crit Academy.
We hope you enjoyed your experience here at Crit Academy. If you did, you can help others find the show by leaving a, hopefully, 5-star review on iTunes or your platform of choice. Or you can just send us a message. Tell us how much you're enjoying the show. We like feedback like that, actually.
Yeah. Also, be sure to give us a like and a share. Actually, you should say that, Brandon.
Also, be sure to give us a like and a share.
Go ahead and take the next part, too.
Okay.
Let's
Make
see how much of it he can remember.
Make sure to subscribe to our show at critacademy.com so we can help you on your future adventures, as well as a chance to win cool prizes each and every week. You will also find links to our fellowship members there as well.
Who's our fellowship members?
I don't know.
We have a few of them. We got
definitely. Do you want to take it?
We got D&D character labs where they formulate their own characters and discuss who would win in a fight.
Close enough.
We need to get with them again.
Who else?
And battle them.
Okay.
That was fun.
That was fun.
They let us win.
I'm
I'm certain of it.
Bullshit.
I'm with them.
We'll do it
Whatever.
again.
Okay. We got. You can keep going.
Also check out. You already did D&D character. Also check out Interparty Conflict. Gabe and Jeff. Every week they have they answer your questions to help bring you the best tabletop experience possible. I am your host, Justin.
I'm your co-host, Brandon.
I'm your co-host, Ian.
Thanks for listening.
Keep your blade. Oh, all together?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Ready?
Keep your blades sharp and spells prepared, heroes.
And keep those talents coming. Yeah. All right, that'll do it. That was a little bit longer show than I wanted. Another one that went 2 hours. That's rough. I think it went longer just because we started late, too.
No, not really. We didn't start much later.
Oh, well, whatever. All right. Hey, thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed. Everyone have a wonderful day, and we will see you on the flip side. Bye. Yeah, if my boss knew. Shame on you, Samuel. Bye.